Alright, so you have already seen how to do the blue glow effect on the larger surfaces for the void shield generator. What we're going to do now is focus on the actual lights. In some cases, we're just going to basically simulate that they're very bright and glowing, very subtle lighting effect. So what we're going to do with a tighter airbrush, so we're going to use the Renegade Chrome as opposed to the Patriot, running on a super tight needle, 0.22 I believe. What we're going to do is where my thumb is, this light we're going to spray on it and just a little bit over the edges to give a light green effect. We're using scale colors on this one. We're going to be using Errate Green. We mixed it 5 drops and 5 drops of the paint, 2 drops of flow improver. It's a pretty thick paint, even with the gel medium in there. It's still pretty thick, so we are thinning it down adequately. You want to, everybody, when they use your own recipe for thinning down, you want to thin to what you're comfortable with your airbrush. So we're going to fire up the compressor. We're going to just hit a little bit with some minor overspray on this light. I'm going to do it sideways. And I'm very, very slow to start this because I want to make sure that I'm not pulling the needle back too far. There you go. You can start to see it showing up on the cylinder around it. We'll just rotate around. Alright, so that's just the starting look of it. A little bit of overspray. We're not going too far down the sides, although technically I should hit the sides of these cylinders a little bit because the light's next to them. And then of course on this side we're not going to because there's no light coming around. So there you go. There's the start of it. What we're going to do is clean out the paint cup, and we're going to come back and we're going to do the next color up, which is going to be spring green. It's going to give it a little bit of a lime color. It's going to be closer to a white. Alright, so we're going to pick back up with a brighter shade of green. We're going to be using Spring Green from the Scale 75 line. It's much more neon looking than the other green we used. So we're going to hit just a little bit more of the center of the light. Not dead center, but a little bit more. We're not going to overspray nearly as much. And what we're looking for here is just a brightness of that light. So I'm going to turn on the compressor and get right at it. And what you're going to get here is just a slight brightness to it. And I've gone and done the rest of the lights all the way around earlier. And we're only hitting the center of the light. We're not overspraying onto the rest of the cylinder. So we want to just add to that brightness. We'll do it down here too. There, now we're starting to see that extra brightness coming up. And we'll go back up here just to double check. There we go. We're starting to see it brighten. I'm doing this very slowly, guys. I want to make sure. I'm very careful here. There we go. Alright, so they're starting to get really bright. And it doesn't have to be a perfect science, because this is more of like a tabletop approach. So from a distance you should be able to see a slight effect to the glow. And what you'll do is you'll just go back and do this across all the lights for the 4 spires for the void shield generator. And then the last thing we'll do is come back with a little tiny hit of white right in that center square. Alright, so now that we have the 2 shades of green down with the airbrush, we did the darker green and then that bright green in the middle. We're going to come back with a little bit of white just to tap the center of each of these lights just to really kind of bring home the brightness. It's supposed to be very subtle, especially from a tabletop perspective. So what we're going to do, turn on the compressor. We've already mixed in Model Air White. Make sure we don't have any green left. Okay, should be better, closer to white. So you just want to come right in the middle, and it's going to be really difficult to see this with the airbrush in the way. Boom. Pop, right in the middle. Very subtle. Do it across the bottom too. If you are uncomfortable doing this with an airbrush, you can always grab a regular brush and just get a little dab. Also, again, from that tabletop perspective, it doesn't have to be perfectly precise. Well, that's how you're going to finish it off. This is probably a little bit too much here. I could go back in with a little bit of a green glaze and fix some of this if I need to. But that's pretty much going to be it. You've got the green glow effects, you've got the bright light in the center, and you're all good to go. This spire is pretty much done. It'll be ready to go on to the rest of the void shield generator later. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments on how to do green glow effects, again, just tabletop standard. We're not going too above and beyond, not going too crazy here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section, or you can contact me if you have any tutorials you would like to see in the future.